And this is a quick little hack that I've stumbled upon. It is using an auger bit to hollow out a small terracotta maquette after it's been dry. This can happen both when it's leathery hard or when it's fully dry. This is an old maquette that I used for a proposal for a Melville monument, Herman Melville. I didn't actually end up using this particular one, but I thought it had a little bit of charm to it, so I thought I might fire it. However, it is solid. I don't mind firing things solid like this, but I thought it might be a fun exercise to show you how you could hollow this out. I'm going to use, these are auger bits. They're very cheap at Harbor Freight. I think I bought this for $25 for all three of them. And that's very cheap for, you know, you can buy these way more expensive than that. I wouldn't, you know, say that they're going to hold up well on wood or anything, but for one or two shots on certainly on clay, they'll work perfectly. I'm going to use the medium-sized one, but the bigger one, you know, obviously you could use it for bigger things. And I'm using I'm using just a small drill. If you know, very often what I'll do with these is I'll have a larger leg or something that I don't want to split down the center. But what I can do is I can cut it at one angle, you know, as in length, and then use this to just drill down the center of the leg, and that relieves a little bit of stress on the clay itself when you have to reconstruct it and put a you know, use scoring and slipping. And that seam, you know, is a weak point in the sculpture. So I'm just putting this into my small drill, and you can see here that it's on slow speed. And I'm also going to put the clutch so that it doesn't catch on me, so that if I do this, the clutch won't, you know, will give me a little safety feature. And of course you could do this with a smaller bit, but I bought these, meaning a shorter bit, but I bought these, you know, for larger work, and I just wanted to show you how this works. And you know, you go on a slow speed, and of course you want to go in a forward direction. So in this case I'm going to hold it, and but if I had a larger work, what I could do is just go in from the side like that, and then patch a small hole, or maybe from an inconspicuous spot and go up underneath something. It's just a, you know, another option other than slicing the whole thing open and hollowing it with a small tool. So I'm just going to hold this here, and I'm going to in this case I'm really just eyeballing it. And I probably should do this over the garbage or over a recycling bin. Okay, in that case you can see the clutch is too clutchy. And I'm backing off. You can see obviously you would want to have a grip on the thing, but you can see where that clutch comes into. I'm going to And I'm just reversing it to clear it. And I'll go a little bit further. Obviously this will work just as well, or maybe better with a smaller bit. But I got in there a few inches and I can keep going. And I could go drill in a little bit further. You can see that there's a fairly big footprint there. And I'm being very gentle and patient with it. So I've gotten in about that far, which I could go in maybe another inch or so. Now, if you are working with a leather hard sculpture, and I have one over here that maybe I could work on. So I'm just going to go up. I'll probably just go up an inch or two to show you how it works. Obviously, since it's softer clay, it goes in pretty readily. You can see that I'm already in a couple inches. And I could, depending on how safe I feel about it, I could go in much further. I'm going to put this one down. Okay. And you can see here, this has gone in, let's see, 5 or 6 inches. You can go in a little bit further. And again, it's how far you want to go. In this case, it's only really thick here at the bottom. So I can maybe plunge in a little further. There's 2 things you're doing here. One is that you are removing clay, making it lighter. Secondly, you are venting any air pockets that might be inside. In other words, giving it another option for the air pocket to vent without having to burst open. The air pockets, generally, if you fire slowly, they don't always pop open, but they can if it's a big air pocket. The other thing you can do here with this is that it allows a little extra surface area for drying. So water that might be deeply embedded in there will now have another option for venting, whether, you know, sitting here on the drying rack or in the kiln under candling. So what I'm going to do is I'll do one more hole. And again, I'm being very slow and patient. I don't want it to catch too. Okay, but you can go in much further than that. And of course, if you wanted to do this on a larger sculpture, you know, you can lie the sculpture down on its side with some cushions, and there you have it. So that's just another option. It's just a hack. It doesn't mean that it's the best way of doing it, but it is an option for you when you are working on terracotta sculpture. So I just wanted to show you with that same technique on this much larger sculpture. So this was a fairly large sculpture with a, let's say, above half life-size figure in it. And there's this large leg here. And I'll show you a video that I took when I first did it, that one of the ways of hollowing a leg like this that's in space, or even an arm like this, was to use a bit here. Now what I did was I just got the right angle for it, And when this was in its leather hard state, I used the drill bit to, again, kind of line it up visually. I spent a lot of time making sure I was going in the right direction. But even if I missed, I can always repatch it the same way I would repatch if I were to cut it open. But I just drove it down through this way. I also did it in several directions here. This has a seam through the center when I cut it open, and then I drove the auger bit down inside like this several times and I was using this bigger bit. There's probably a couple other spots. I think I went down like this as well. So there are large parts of this sculpture that are hollow, but at the same time, there's areas in which I was able to hollow it just by kind of these large drill bit excavations. So I wanted to, and hopefully I can drop that video in where I was actually drilling out that leg right there.